is it that we estimate in the first place? What's the point of estimating? Just in general. Yeah. Yeah, you want to get to as close of the actual answer as possible as quickly as you can, right? Maybe you don't have the means to figure it out, or maybe you don't necessarily need the exact answer at the time. Estimation is a skill that you can develop through practice. Give me a situation where you might use estimation in real life. Yeah. When you go to the store and you buy something. Well, yeah, that too, and you want to make sure that you have enough money to cover what's in your cart, right? Okay. Provided that people use cash or they don't use a credit or debit card like they usually do. Yes? Right, so very similar, yes? Okay. We use estimating a lot, actually. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a chart. And I'm going to give you some common percents. And with those percents, I'll give you some common fractions that go with them. Okay? And we'll use this. Now, if I said 1%, we would call that 1 over 100, right? Two percent is 2 over 100, but if I simplify that, that's 1 over. I'm going to give these to you as simple as in simplest form. 5% is 5 over 100, but if I simplify it, 1 over 20. 10% is 10 over 100, but if I simplify that, 1/10. How about you just copy for now, and then you'll ask a question after, and then I'll answer it for you. But let's get this thing down as quickly as we can. 20% is 20 over 100, but if I simplify, it's 1/5. 25% is 25 over 100, but if I simplify, 1/4. Let's go ahead and use 33% instead of 30%. And that's about 1/3. 40%, 40 over 100, 4 over 10, 2/5. It's the first one we see that has a different number, or a number other than 1 as your numerator. But that's okay, it's not a big deal. You're getting these down where? Invisible lead. 50 over 100, you know that as half. 60%, we'll call that 3/5. 67%, we'll call 2/3. 75%, 3/4. 80%, 4/5. 90%, 100% equals 1. Put those down. %52 of 120. Now, first thing you want to do is look at your chart. I don't have 52% on that chart, but what percent do I have on that chart that's really close to 52%? Desi? And what fraction was the 50%? Half. Okay? So I'm going to use half. because that's the closest one to my 52. Here's the next thing I need to look at. What number closest to 120 is divisible by 2? Is 120 divisible by 2? Yes. What is 120 divided by 2? 60. How many 60s do we need? Equals 60. Bear with me. It's a process. Okay? You'll get it as we go through more examples. Let's try this one. 20% of 77. What fraction are we going to use from our chart that's closest to 20? 20. What fraction was 20? Now, here's what you need to ask yourself. My denominator in this case is 5. Son, sit down. Can't take a 5-minute break to the sink right now. What number closest to 77 is divisible by 5? Yes. 75. Could you go 80? Yeah, it's right in the middle. What do you want to use? You want to use 75? That's fine. Now, what is 75 divided by 5? 15. How many 15s do you need? Now put this into context. What are they asking? 20% of 77. That means if you had a test, those were 77 points, and you scored a 20% on it. Yeah, you had about 15 right. That's what that means, if we want to put it into context. Here, same thing. You had a test, 120 points, you scored a 52%. You know, you got roughly half of it right. That's what it means. That's what we're doing here. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's say 9% of 106. What fraction are we going to use to represent the 9%? Look at your chart. 10% is the percent we're going to use. What fraction is that? 1/10. Okay. Now, what number closest to 106 is divisible by 10? 1/10. I mean, 100 is close, but what is it closer to? It's 6 away from 100. It's only 4 away from 1/10. How do I know it's divisible by 10? Because it ends in a 0. What is 1/10 divided by 10? 11. How many 11s do I need? Therefore, 11 is your answer. %39 of 39. No, it's not a trick. No, it's not 100. I have a percent. I'm not looking for a percent. I have a percent. If you tell me your answer is 39, you're wrong, because you're saying 39 over 39 equals 39%. No. Just play the game. Do what we've been doing. Don't try to figure this stuff out in your head using a different method than what we're using. What percent am I going to use from my chart that's closest to 39%? Desi. 40%, which is what? 2/5. What number closest to 39 is divisible by 5. $40. Now, what is 40 divided by 5? How many 8s do I need? Equals. That's why I've been asking the question, how many do I need? And here it was 1. Here it was 1. There it was 1. Because all the fractions I used all had 1 as their numerator until we got here where it was 2. Okay, so was it 39? No. Okay. Okay, what percent are we going to use? 23% is closest to what percent that I have on my chart? 20%? No. 25. It's 2 away from 25. It's 3 away from 20. Let's use 25. What is it? 25% is 1/4. What number closest to 99 is divisible by 4? 100. What is 100 divided by 4? What's a dollar divided by 4? 25. 25. How many 25s do I need? Just need 1. Just need 1. What else could you have had? You could have said 23% and just left it. What's 23% of 100? 23% looks like this. Of 100. 23. I would have accepted either 23 or 25. Nothing else. Not 20. I'm not going to round 23 down to 20 when I have a 25 on my chart. Yes?
So, if it's like a number like that, can you like change? So, the equal is actually the answer that you got.
Yeah, but that's a rare case. Only because this was so close to 100.
So, it's like say you have to always change
I'm saying if you were savvy enough to sniff this out and know that 23% of 100 is 23, I would have been fine with it. Okay? The majority of answers I'd be looking for, though, are probably 25. Okay? Let's see. $33% of 91. All right, so fraction should be easy. 33% was what? 1/3. Now, what number closest to 91 is divisible by 3? 90. What is 90 divided by 3? What's 9 divided by 3? 3 with the 0 is 30. How many 30s do I need? There it is. That's it. Now, you'll see a couple that are a little bit tricky. 54% of 78. So 54%, we're going to use what fraction? 50, which is half, is the fraction. What number closest to 78 is divisible by 2? Now here's the catch. 78 is divisible by 2, but the whole reason why we estimate is to make things a little bit right. So if I know that 78 is, but I also know that 80 is, what is half of 80? There it is. That's acceptable. If you know that 80 gives you one more 2 than 78, then maybe you went 39. I don't care. If you're that quick, either of those are fine. Now, on your assignment for the work, they just have to be close. Now, I'm walking around and I'm saying either or yes, you have it, because I want you to get it as right as possible. See, there are some that are more right than others, but it doesn't mean that the one you have is necessarily wrong, because we're estimating. There's closest and there's close. It's like playing, I don't know, horseshoes. Right? Sometimes you get the ringer, and you get, more points than if you get it close. So you do. You do.
Actually, I did hear.
Now, take a second to digest that. Write that down.
What?
Now, you don't have 120 on your chart, but you do have a 100 and 20. So if it's, just watch. Look, I need to see everyone's eyes up here, making sure that they're paying attention to what I'm saying. If it were just 100% of 400, what would it be? 400. 100% of 400 is 400. So if it's 120% of 400, what does that tell you? It's going to be greater than 400. So here's what we're going to do. You already told me that 100% of 400, let me give you a nice round number here. We didn't have to move this or change this at all. So you know you're going to have 400 here, right? So 20 is 1/5. What is 1/5 of 400? Can you divide 400 into 5? What's 40? What's 40 divided by 5? 8 with a 0 is 80. So how many of those do I need? What's 400 plus 80? 480. Was it greater than 400 like I said it was going to be? Yeah. So all we did was broke down the 100 and added it to the 20. What's 100 plus 20 is 120, just like here. So we just took it and made it into two parts and used those fractions. The nice thing is that any of those that are over 100, that 100 part is going to be pretty easy. Like if you had, where was the other one I saw? 110 of 86. Now, here's what you want to consider. I'm going to use 100 and what? And 10. Okay? The 100 part's going to be easy. But what fraction comes with the 10? 1/10. So let's work with this one first. What number closest to 86 is divisible by 10? 90. So let's change this to a 90. What is 90 divided by 10? 9. How many 9s do I need? 1. What's 100% of 90? 90. What's 90 plus 9? 99. Was it greater than the 86 that I started with? It should be because that was greater than 100%. So let's take a look at some of these. You want one for Tequila? There you go. Okay, let's take a look at the practice side. And the only one that I see that's greater than 100 is number 5. So let's do number 5 right now. Okay, so we already established we're going to use 25. So 125. Let's work with the 25 first, not forgetting to work with the 100. So we said that 25% is 1/4. What number closest to 20 is divisible by 4? Is 20 divisible by 4? What is it? 5. How many 5s do I need? So that's a 5. Then, what's 100% of 20? So 20 plus 5 is 25. Was it greater than the 20 I started with? Yeah. Was it that much greater? Is this that much greater than 100? No. It's not like 500%. Yes, Casimir.
So the ending number, if you get 100, so the ending number is going to be that number at the end.
All we did was split up the 124, right? So 100, and we said we're not going to use 24%, we're going to use 25. So we just said what's 100 plus 25 is 125, which is what we used to estimate. You don't have to worry about it so much because that's the only one. We did it. Yeah?
Instead of the 20, I had 5 to the bottom, but I had another 5 from the other one because I had 20 times.
Well, what do we establish? That anytime it's 100% of something, it's the same, is what you're starting. Like if you had a test and there was 20 problems, how many did you get right? If you had 100%, you had 20. Okay? So look at your worksheet. I'm going to have you do numbers 1 through 12 on the practice side. We already did number 5. So hopefully you were paying attention because the answer to that was there.